Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, we'll be learning about how these errors, what we have learned in the previous video, do affect or do not affect the trial balance. Now, the definition that we have learned about rectification of errors and the causes of how it affects and it doesn't affect the trial balance will be studied in this topic. Let's go ahead and find that out. So, when we spoke about rectification of errors, we were concerned about how these errors are formed or how these specific errors affect the formation of trial balance. Now, as you know that when it comes to accountancy 7-step process, we need to identify certain transactions, we need to measure those transactions, we need to record them, classify or summarize them, and then analyze, interpret them, and then provide it to the users for communication. So when it comes to all these process, the first step is to understand that all these information which are being shared for preparation of statement of account needs to be completely flawless. So once you've understood that these transactions or these statements which are prepared and are used for communicating to the users, both internal or external, have to be flawless. Now it happens that there are certain errors that might just come up at any point of time, either while you prepare journal entries, either when the entries are converted into ledger balances, when the ledger balance is then further converted into trial balance, or when it comes to preparation of profit and loss account or balance sheet. So as you can see, we have mentioned certain areas here, we have mentioned certain points. Let's go ahead and see what are those points all about. Errors and classification. So we have heard about what kind of errors we'll be going through or what kind of errors we have already gone through in the previous video. Some of them might be like complete omission, partial omission, error of principal, error of commission, or when it comes to any kind of error which is like completely or semi-completely omitted. When we talk about errors, these errors do hamper the preparation of trial balance, or some of these might not just hamper the preparation of trial balance. You need to understand which errors do and which errors don't. So when we talk about classification, we'll be briefly studying today about what this classification means, what kind of errors do actually affect the preparation of trial balance and what kind of errors don't. What happens when either of the account is hampered because of these errors and how the trial balance is affected. And if the trial balance is affected, what the rectifications are required and how it can be reversed. We'll be studying about this. The next point we have mentioned here is something related to errors itself. Let's go ahead and find that out. Effects of these errors. Now, as you know that when there is an error in any preparation of accounts, let it be the journal entries, let it be the ledger account, let it be the trial balance, let it be the profit and loss account or balance sheet for that matter. Whenever there is an error, there is something that needs to be rectified, because if it isn't, then a wrong information is passed to the user, be the external, be the internal, and this can hamper the company's image or the company's goodwill, both in terms of making policies or for the lenders, suppliers or investors to invest their money or send their goods on credit. To inform or to make sure that these things doesn't happen for any of the companies, these reports or these statements should be completely flawless. Hence, when we talk about errors, these things, when you classify, you need to make sure that the errors are completely rectified and there is no possible cause of any error coming into any statement. Now, the third statement or the third transaction that will be mentioned here, or probably the third point that is going to be mentioned here, is as follows. We have already learned about what kind of errors we have. For example, we have error of omission, which includes both partial and complete omission. We have error of principal, we have error of commission, we have compensating errors. These are the four broadly classified errors that we have. Error of omission being either you miss out on the complete transaction or either you miss out on either of the accounts being debited or credited. When we talk about error of commission, it comes to wrong posting, wrong totaling, wrong amount being credited to the wrong account, or the correct account being debited or credited with either of the wrong amount. When such errors happen, they do affect the trial balance or the balance or two or more things in any specific trial balance as the concern may be. When it comes to error of principle, that means the basic general rule or what we call as golden rule of the accounting balance or the accounting journal entries is affected in the most cases. When it comes to compensating, we have already spoken about that, which means that two or more errors are done in such a way that one error complements the other error itself. Hence, this specific compensating error doesn't affect the trial balance preparation at all. So when we talk about classification of errors, these are the types, these are the classifications that we have for these errors. Let's go ahead and find out what is the next topic all about. Steps in locating errors. When we spoke about errors, there are certain stages where these errors happen. One, it might be a journal entry. One, it might be in ledger balancing. One, it might be either in the preparation of trial balance, or as a matter, it might be just a totaling error. So what you need to do when it comes to steps of finding out these errors, you have to make sure that all these transactions, all the journal entries are posted in a correct manner using the real, personal and nominal accounts rule. The three golden accounts, the three golden rules that we need to follow when it comes to real, personal and nominal account should have been followed when it comes to preparation of journal entries. You need to analyze, you need to understand every such transaction to make sure that there is no error when it comes to any journal entry. The next step is to ensure that once these journal entries are prepared, the same balance is mentioned in the ledger account. So, for example, if there is a sale transaction worth rupees 20,000, however, the sale is showing a credit only of 2,000, that means there has been an error where the amount has been credited on the wrong side, or probably there has been an error where the wrong amount has been mentioned on the credit side. So to rectify these things, there's a difference of 18,000 which needs to be credited on the sales account. That needs to be rectified. So once we talk about any errors, it has to be rectified either at the first stage, or once you find out after preparation of trial balance there is certain difference, you need to go ahead and check where the error has actually committed. The third step that we talk about is errors when it comes to preparation of trial balance. Now, trial balance, as we spoke about, gives you a lot of arithmetical accuracy, but not necessarily that it is a foolproof plan. Hence, arithmetical accuracy can be concerned or can be related to trial balance. However, when we speak about preparation of trial balance, it doesn't give you exact or accurate accuracy about any of these ledger balances. Hence, you need to track down every individual account that is in your accounts book to make sure that all these transactions have been correctly posted with the correct amount being either on the debit side or the credit side as per the transaction or as per the nature of the transaction. When this has been done, you can go ahead and make sure that the transactions are followed and the same balance has been brought down in the trial balance. Once this is done and you find out that both the debit side and the credit side of the trial balance is equalized, that means it has tallied, and hence the trial balance can be further provided to preparation of statement of profit and loss account and statement of accounts, which may be like balance sheet. So this is one of the important steps when it comes to preparation of any profit and loss account or statement of accounts for that matter. Let's go ahead and see what is the next option that has been mentioned here. When we spoke about areas to cover when it comes to preparation of statement of accounts like trial balance, journal entries, ledger balancing, posting of journal entries, posting or carrying forward the balances, we need to have a broader mind aspect when it comes to areas to be covered. Now, for example, what do you think when it comes to preparation of journal entries? What are the concerns or what are the debit and credit entries that has to be for either of the purchase account or for the sales account? Of course, the definition of the purchase and sales will guide you through it. But if there is certain error that has been already made while making a purchase entry or while making a sales entry, that needs to be rectified. So when we talk about areas, you have to broadly classify which areas you're defining to. Either it can be a journal entry, either it can be a ledger entry. So to make sure that these journal entries and these ledger entries are completely flawless, you need to make sure that the rules that are required to follow these journal entries or to make these journal entries are completely adhered to. When it comes to preparation of journal entries, we need to follow these three golden rules. 1. Real account. 2. Personal account. 3. Nominal account, or we can call them as a general account. Now, when it comes to personal account, the rule that we follow is debit the receiver, credit the giver. This is the basic rule when it comes to any kind of personal account. It may be A's capital, it may be B's capital account, C's account, any name that has been mentioned here comes under this category. When it comes to real account, it means all these expenses, or probably debit what comes in, credit what goes out, has to be mentioned here. So when you talk about real account, it is nothing more, but you have to understand that real account completely defines what is coming in, what is going out. So these accounts, or the accounts that we classified under real category, has to follow this specific rule. Now the third account that we have, or the third golden rule that we have, is a nominal account. When we speak about nominal account, is nothing but debit all expenses and losses, credit all incomes and gains. This is the basic rule that we follow. So what are the three rules that we have followed here? First, personal account, debit the receiver, credit the giver. Second, real account, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. The next one would be nominal account, debit all expenses and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So if you have followed all these three rules, that means you have covered all the areas which are required when it comes to preparation of journal entries. Now, when it comes to preparation of ledger balance, what you need to understand, it can be either the balance which has been carried down, or the balance which has been brought down further into the next year might have certain error. The transaction posting might have gone wrong. The journal entries which have been carried forward into the next year, or probably the ledger balance, might have gone wrong. These are certain common errors that we have learned in the previous lecture. These have to be rectified. If these rectifications have been done in a proper way, we can then further step ahead for preparation of trial balance. So when we talk about preparation of trial balance, we have learned that there are three methods. One being the totals method, which is rarely used. Second being the balances method, which is the most common method. And the third being the total cum balances method, which is also known as the 4-column method. So when we use the balances method, we need to make sure that the balance that has been brought down in the next year is also reflecting in the trial balance according to the same account title. So if your sales have a balance which has been brought down for 40,000, the sales should also reflect in trial balance showing as 40,000 itself. And the corresponding entries for which the sales have been made should also show the same balance. So if there are 4 accounts where the transactions have been mentioned as 10,000 sale each, that means all those 4 accounts should have 40,000 balance in total, and the sales account will reflect 40,000. If this is the formula that has been followed, or if this is the pattern that has been followed, we'll make sure that the trial balance is absolutely correct and is flawless. That means the debit side will be equivalent to the credit side. So when we talk about preparation of trial balance, this is what we can look after when it comes to preparation. Debit side should be equal to credit side. If not, there is some error which has happened, and that is something that we need to rectify. Now, the topic that we're talking about, errors which affect and which do not affect the trial balance. Let's go ahead and write down certain points which will help you to understand what are these errors which affect and which do not affect the trial balance. Let's go ahead and do that. So when we spoke about what are the errors that might affect the trial balance and what might not, these are certain things that you need to understand. First part, errors that affect the trial balance. That means these are the errors which have already caused a difference in the preparation of trial balance. Let's take an example. If the credit side of the trial balance is showing a total of 60,000 and the debit side of the trial balance is showing a total of 75,000, that means there is a difference of 15,000 here. Now, as a chartered accountant, I need to carry it forward or make sure that my preparation of trial balance is completed, and the same can be forwarded for preparation of profit and loss account and preparation of balance sheet. So I won't be stopping here when it comes to preparation of trial balance, or when it talks about, or when we speak about anything which is related to preparation of final statement of accounts. I need to make sure that by end of the year, my statement of accounts, that means the profit and loss account and balance sheet, is prepared enough to make sure that the statements are forwarded or communicated to the users. So what are the two things that we need to understand? What are the errors will be facing these difficulties? Let's find that out. Now, when any error that you've committed, either in preparation of journal, either in preparation of trial balance, either in preparation of ledger, or carrying forward the balances from the ledger to trial balance, these errors do affect the trial balance. If it is affecting the trial balance, that means the difference will be shown in the trial balance. Now, it is very difficult to find out for you which exact error has caused this difference. So, when you're not able to find out the difference, a specific suspense account has been created, or it will be created to make sure that the difference is adjusted as a temporary method to find out where the difference has been, because we need to prepare the final statement of accounts, and hence a suspense account, that is a temporary account, will be created to make sure that the current difference is adjusted and the preparation of accounts, that is the profit and loss account and balance sheet, is carried forward. Now, when we speak about errors affecting trial balance, this is the key word that you need to understand: suspense account. We'll be having a different video on this when we go further in this topic. What we'll be meaning about suspense account, how it helps, and what are the differences that it causes with its existence. Now, errors that do not affect the trial balance. These are certain errors which have already affected two or more accounts, and that's the reason this specific error is not causing any difference in trial balance. It may be wrong posting, either the debit or the credit has been mismatched. That's the reason two or more accounts have been already hampered, but the amount has been mentioned. Hence, there is no difference that is seen in the trial balance, as both the accounts have the same amount. It may either be the cause that both the accounts have different amount, like instead of 20,000 being debited and credited, we have only debited 2,000. So there is a difference of 18,000. However, both these accounts will still show this balance of 2,000, and hence it won't affect the trial balance. So when such errors are there, it is very difficult to understand which error or which transaction is causing this difference, or probably the difference between the ledgers and the account balances. However, this won't be shown in trial balance, and hence you need to go ahead and check the journal entries if the rules have been followed or not. So when it comes to preparation of trial balance, these are certain things that you need to follow, and when it comes to rectification of errors, these are certain points that you need to understand which error affects the trial balance and which doesn't. So this is what we have learned today, and that's it for the day. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned to Ekeeda and keep subscribing to Ekeeda.